Alright, hey there, E here, and we're back, quite late so, with more Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Thought I could just take a quick nap before this. Turns out, no, I cannot. So, anyways, last time we finished up our business on Thassera. Yeah, that's the name of the world. Yeah, we finished up the investigation on the world where we're trying to see what happened with the Imperial Tithe. We started off with a little bit of a local game there from nobility, where it involved identifying imposters among nobility. Did that a few times because we were trying to see a few different options for it. Got betrayed. Saw that some of our suspicions were correct about the person who knew themselves as the governor being fake. Then confronted the real traitor in the castle and saw the whole scheme as a whole thing from the true governor. The whole scheme being a way to, or an attempt to, switch bodies and just kind of body snatch his way up through different positions. So yeah, he was going to try, well, he essentially was going to try to body snatch a arbitrator or some other person related to the royal ties or the imperial ties, but then he decided to take opportunity to body snatch a rogue trader since we ended up showing up. Didn't work out. Had a very, very tough fight that took many attempts, but managed to actually win this eventually. So we're just gonna finish looting up everything in the area, and then it'll be off to Footfall Station once again. Yeah, deal with a small errand for Jai, and then back to Dargonus. Because I believe that last errand that popped up for Jai is like the last bit of miscellaneous stuff we have to do. And then we actually finally move on to the main quest, getting Gamma all officially recognized as the Von Valancius Rogue Trader. So let us start, and so much happens on that station. Also, he had a really good gun that kept on killing us. Had to rely on Kibellah to essentially finish the fight again. Anything special about this one? Now we'll just bring them along just in case. Also, oh yeah, the cutscene they had here, his body was down this way. Yeah, this is a very tough fight since he did a lot of damage himself and we couldn't kill him until some other objects were destroyed first.
They will see. Oh yes.
And thanks to his weapon, he was able to one-shotting pretty much everyone if he hit. And he just about hit every single time. Alright, this is what we discovered when we were running through here.
There will be no peace in my wake.
Hold on a second. My audio is bothering me. Okay, I think that somewhat fixed things. Yeah, I have wireless earbuds. And it kind of messes up sometimes. I think my big dongle I have to connecting things might be getting a little bit old. Oh, gotta brush something else. Very annoying. Keeps on breaking the audio when I try this. Alright, here we go.
Patience. My
And
nerves
there
are
was
frayed.
one last thing I wanted to look at before we left. This thing.
Another notch.
See, she can succeed at 25%. Why can't Argenta? The shards of the monstrous structure emits a barely perceptible ringing sound. Or is it the whispers of otherworldly voices telling of change? How are you, Zinchians?
In this tapestry of a world, I am the rogue thread.
Yeah, it looks like we are fully done with this. Okay, but we cannot do any sort of development with it. Why does it change with this? Okay, apparently that's a thing. Oh, is it still doing the thing where even just clicking around the different worlds will advance the timing for this? I remember that was a thing when I first played. Became a way to just kind of cheat things and accelerate the construction of projects and get the item rewards quite repeatedly. No? Coincidence? Maybe. Oh. Okay, nothing we can actually build for now. Everything's blocked off from the previous constructions. Nothing blocked out of resources? No, not looking at such. Aside from this one. Yeah, I wanted this one, but yeah, we are far, far away from having enough reputation with the Kibellah. It'd be less stuff spent, less cargo sold just to deal with the Drusians. Yeah, we had the Forest Fortress built, correct? Yes. Anyways, back to traveling to Footfall again. I believe that is the last side mission we have. Or at least the one that we can actually do right now. Alright, we have something on the bridge to deal with. We found all the hidden all the hidden data from Theodora. So we gotta deal with that. Oh, okay. And then return to the Administratum Palace to inform them that the whole business in Thassera is done. We'll do that when we return. Yeah, that one was about the gene stealers. Haven't found anything further. Adamantine, we only have 3 left right now. Could get rid of a bunch of people. That's only for promethium and chemicals. Provisions, no, we got plenty of those. It's also more profit factor for the adamantine. Sell 3 for 5 and then sell 3 to get back 2 profit factor. Not a particularly good trade. Our captain, we have visitors on the bridge seeking an audience. Your presence is required. And I should have actually... yeah, worked, or not worked, but got everyone leveled up. Plus fixed their inventories as well. Had a bit of a shortage of med kits last time. And then we used up what little we had. Really need to be on top of that. Oh. Hey there, Sir Nick. What are they all doing here now? High Factotum, your ladyship. The High Factotum bows low every few moments. Downrock brings a perfumed cloth to his face, but his expression remains obsequious. Members of the crew have made a request to allow them to proclaim their most profound devotion to the Lord Captain. Personally. Young man? Lower deck rabble. A man in a worn uniform bows awkwardly. Your Highness, gracious. Lord Captain, please let me speak on behalf of the whole crew and everyone, and express our gratitude to you, officially, so to speak. The kind of leader you are, the way you treat people, is now known in every corner of the expanse, from Footfall to Hor's dirtiest and most unremarkable planet. All praise your dedication to the human spirit and goodwill. Hey, my good deeds are finally being recognized. I am doing fine. Quite well rested, even though I did end up oversleeping for the stream. Everyone wants to serve under your command, and there's no end to the volunteers. So the other day, when we were clearing out an abandoned sector for new living quarters, we found a forgotten vault right in the bilge of the ship, literally beneath our feet. Well, it turned out the vault had some centuries-old weapon in it. It took it look a bit odd, but they're powerful for sure. The good tech priests helped with the assembly and the consecration of the weapons, and now you can strike down your enemies with even greater might. Okay, freed weapon. In fact, totaling your leadership apart from the weapons, the crew has sent one more find to the bridge as a token of its eternal gratitude, a most ancient mechanism which our tech priests have dubbed the Celestium Observatorium. Alas, its machine spirit refuses to heed their rites, which makes the device more symbolic and aesthetic than practical in purpose. Do you wish to see it? Sure. More stuff. Ooh, fancy. Very fancy and very big. The Celestium Observatorium looms over the deck. While the spirit of this ancient mechanism has gone silent forever, the words intricately inscribed on its frame can still serve as a source of resolve. A keen gaze sunders the darkness bloom with deceit and reduces all corruption to ash. Very nice. Okay, there's the map area, so it's just gonna be right here. Nice little reward from the crew despite all the deaths. No idea what item we got from them. Says we got a weapon from them. Not seeing it. Yeah, and sorting it, and that's just the weapon we picked up from our last fight. Well, not that much of an issue. Got plenty of weapons already. Oh, they have him almost one-handed. Though this works with the shield. Please recommend is already 15 to 19. And it has some extra bonuses beyond the shield bash. No, Abelard may not have a shield, but we can replace the chain sword. As for the gun, Erlet, can you use it? No, you cannot. Alright, Gamma. Are you gonna have to use it? Does have better armor penetration, but does not have an additional hit chance. And yeah, she's not particularly built for shooting. I just have to go ahead and give it to Adira. Yeah, Fatebringer. I wanted to give Kibellah that, but couldn't. It's less damage, but it's 100% armor penetration. Yeah, Ebonite's sword is good if it's a lot of low armored enemies, since the shock damage can give an AoE damage from just a single target. But might just have to stick with the Fatebringer. Well, I can always switch them out as we go. I'm surprised that the key to Thassera did not have any other significance. Assuming we were warned about the blue shimmering and that the Maeve's necklace ended up doing something. I'm surprised they didn't rig the key as well. Anyways. Level ups. What can we get you? I don't think we have anything that increased damage dealt. Not off the top of my head anyways. Body of Flames might be useful, considering how fond the NPCs are of grenade damage. Or not grenade damage, but flame grenades. Oh, Psyker Extremist. We can level up our Psyker status. Level 5 Psi rating. Excellent. We have more powers next time up. We have those talents available to pick from. Yeah, just get what we have favorited. Acceleration protocols. This would have been good for Kibellah. Could still give it to Pascal though, that would let him move around the field a bit more. Oh, could get them up there push. We had a slight issue as well last time with one of the enemies running right up to him, preventing him from using his plasma rifle. Oh yeah, dual weapon. I was gonna try to get this and see if it actually works with his setup. So I could have sworn there's another ability here that let him use his ranged weapons when an enemy was in melee range. I know Argenta has it. Maybe he doesn't have access to it. Alright, well, we'll get the manipulator push for now. Yeah, for now I don't think we need to worry about any of these. Let's get the tonicity. More bonus with our staff. Let's can give you more strength, more damage with your weapon. Okay, you already got the agility and ballistics. That's good. Get you more perception. Need more strength. I think you'll be fine with what you have. Alright, enough of that. Let's see, oh yeah, then we had our cogitator that we need to decipher the data with. Okay, hand over the Dargonus data. With reverent trepidation, the tech priest accepts the device from your hands and places it inside one of the drives. All the while honoring the machine with modulating binary prayer. The turbines within cogitator stir into motion, and the screen lights up. The tech priest extracts the data from the cogitator and gives it to you. The machine spirit has revealed the contents of the encrypted data, and I hereby pass it to you. This is where I reached the limit of my authorization, but you now have the option to review the data, decrypted data personally. Entry damage, rogue trader like a lackey. It is humiliating and dispiriting to put up with the part of an errand servant to an imperious madman invested with even greater power than that of any rogue trader. Alas, when one side of the scales holds my pride and the other the fate of the Von Vance's protectorate and my entire bloodline, choice becomes a futile illusion. It would be far too naive of me not to prepare for the worst. Epitaph will decide the future of the Expanse as a whole, but I have some time at my disposal until then. Heirs with the Von Vance's blood in them will soon be located and brought to me. I cannot afford to delay the choice of a successor any longer. Okay, Theodore was being threatened by someone with far more power, apparently. Now the Kibellah Gamma data slate. The Great Mechanism has transformed the secret data into a format that you can comprehend without the assistance of a servant of the Messiah. Preliminary report N4073. Reporter Unit Q-59/0 Research Group. Subject of study: active samples of the terrible disease assigned named Tech Blight. Effect: the Tech Blight is capable of corroding matter and destroying it from within it at a terrifying speed. This deadly plague infects mechanisms as well as any metals and other materials used as their basis. No technology known to the Crimson Priesthood, neither gifts from the Great Omnissiah nor heretical products of Xenos, can withstand this onslaught. This disease poisons and warps the very essence and taints the code of sacred mechanisms. Observation: Tech Blight triggers an effect that is repulsive at its core. It transforms metals into horrific forms of an unpredictable nature. During testing, it demonstrated the ability to fuse solid matter with organic objects, creating something new as a result. The phenomenon was assigned the name tech splicing. Method of transportation: ceramic capsules. Burnt clay is the only thing that can contain the pestilence. Extra caution must be taken given the container's fragility. Any damage might result in an uncontrolled outbreak. Damaging the containers is unacceptable. Current stage: test to subjugate the Tech Blight to his will and turn it into a weapon subject to the Omnissiah's wisdom. Thus result assessment: success. Note: test triggered an event recorded under the name incident N872-04. Quest for knowledge in his name will continue. Hypothesis 1: the Tech Blight was created in the darkness of unknown worlds, away from the eye of the great creator. Hypothesis 2: any taint that exists to harm the machine god's creations can and will be bent to his will. Okay, so she found something quite horrible. The data bank encryption procedure has been completed without conflict. The priest stops short in the green lights of his visor. Clicks on the cogitator's vid screen, flicker nervously. Strings of numerical code begin appearing with frightening speed. This time the numbers are interspersed with words you can understand, and those words form legible sentences. Inputs: unpack, comp, almost true. Epitaph brought her to the beginning. 84569. Gnome OS analysis status initiated. 4257 Epitaph, you got the incidents that which destroyed. Stat check initialized and changed everything. The incident became the starting point. 542361. Inputs: unpack. Nomos analysis status initiated. The incident breathed life and marked the beginning of all. 5476, it marked the beginning of Nomos. 2356, Nomos. It created Nomos. IH630, the tech priest, now alarmed, is tapping the keys of the control panel. His banner of prayer gives way to distressed whispering. Unacceptable deviation, violation of the sacred protocols. Possibility of tech heresy. Omnissiah shields us from all heresy. Always with the heresy. A few months later, the vid screen darkens and flickers to life again. Input prompt: Nomos ALG 52136. So, what was that just now? IH630, the imperfections of Vox transmissions makes the priest's voice sound even more worried. A catastrophic mistake, a heinous violation of the purity of the hallowed code. The mechanism is touched by heresy. It is branded and tainted by it. Now the machine has spirit produce code as before, and yet. Lord Captain, heed my plea. All operations on the machine must be halted until the Engineer Prime has inspected it. Yeah, before that, Nomos, what does it mean? That's a mystery to me. It is this mechanism. If this mechanism truly is tainted, then could it be the priest mechanism jitters anxiously over the control panel? If heresy truly has taken hold of this machine spirit and scorned their Omnissiah's every tenet, then the spirit's madness could be such that it has chosen a name for itself. But that is nothing more than my hypothesis. It is alive. Okay, report to Pascal. The priest bows guiltily, and his mechanical voice becomes hollow and dejected. My knowledge is insufficient to cleanse the code of this mechanism. I'll inform this esteemed Ennisir Prime of this disturbing development. Only he has the power to expel the heresy from this corrupted machine spirit. Okay, so I'll be hearing from him later. Then you probably have a follow-up with Solomorn. Though we might not have to do it until we actually report back to Dargonus.
Rogue trader.
Nope, okay, nothing new with that. Alright, looks like we can continue our trip. Footfall station's all the way down here. Usual warp shenanigans. Oh, right. Forgot to re-equip every one of all the items that we used.
I'm powerless to act.
If only that were possible.
I'm gonna use up all the smaller medkits first. No, okay, we can't stack them. Make them a bit safer. I'm lucky with the trip this time. No invasions. Right then, Jai, Shireen, you find a spare minute on Footfall when you are not deciding our lackluster fates. I'll be delighted to see you at my Marikar in the Damascus. I'll tell Octi to set aside some decent wine in case you decide to grace our humble party with your luminous presence. Yeah, it'd be my pleasure to attend your party. The lowly regulars of the Damascus will be telling their great-grandchildren about the time they had the honor of witnessing your dazzling visit to the unworthy dive. That is, of course, if they live long enough to see their great-grandchildren. Okay, smaller party then. Solomar doesn't seem like the type to like that. Bring airlets since that will annoy her. Bring a deer as well. Let Harplar take a break. I don't think there should be any fighting during this mission.
Curiosity sings in my veins.
Jai, where are you? Oh, Chilas are not there. Usually, you easily spot Jai in the group, crowded around the table. The extravagant luxury of her attire and her gleaming augment set her apart from the rest. Seeing you, she exclaims, "May the gravitational wells on your world never lack for grip, just as my heart never lacks for joy at the sight of a rogue trader von Valancius." Octaviana, with an approving chuckle, Octaviana mutters, I can't believe it. You actually roped the rogue trader into coming to your party." The rogue trader raises a toast to your health. "I start to believe you really are a princess and not just a smuggler with the gift of gab. Please take a seat." Observe the group. Jai's friends look exactly as you would expect, like hardened operators of the cold trade, ready to end the forbidding but glitzy style common to those who like to skirt the limits of the law. One pair in particular catches your eye. A young man and woman, twins it seems, identical yet distinct from each other. The man has a lively face and a crazed look in his eye, while the woman is cold and calm and seems slightly drowsy. Octaviana readily tops up the glasses on the table, playing the role of a consummate host, but you notice that her and Jai's chairs are drawn slightly closer together than usual for a pair who seem connected only by superficial acquaintance. Of course they are. Alright, join the group. Octaviana draws out the bottle from under the table. The glass is as thick as your finger and is covered in wax seals. No exaggeration, this is the finest amasec that has ever graced this bar. Jai personally acquired it, as she says, for a special occasion. It seems that you are the special occasion, your ladyship. The crowd around the table falls silent, exchanging awkward looks. It appears they are unaccustomed to drinking in the presence of lofty individuals such as you. Okay, may as well go and drink to Jai. Some of you burst into approving cheers, and the bar fills with the sound of clinking glasses. Amasec tastes exorbitantly expensive, sweeping you into a kaleidoscope of flavors. Tart floral bitterness, honey sweetness, and then other far more refined sensations that are nameless owing to the small number who can afford to experience them. Jai, bravo Octi. Amasec will do me very well indeed. Jai's self-satisfied reply elicits general laughter, and the tensions at the table seem to loosen slightly. Alright, so about your associates. The precious roses in the garden of my soul and the golden little bees that bring honeyed riches to my treasure houses. Yes, this is my crew of cold traders. The two identical ones are the trickster twins, the closest associates Kor, our resident hothead, and his much wiser sister Tora. Kor, don't let her fool you, your ladyship. She's only calling me a precious rose cause you're here. When it's just us, I'm lucky if I get called that arsehole with the gun. Kor chuckles good-naturedly. Tora, because you are the arsehole with the gun. If I had dragged you out as many scripts as Jai has, and that's not the name I'd be using for you. I can call you that much. I can tell you that much. Of course, Sister rolls her eyes. Pay no attention to him, your ladyship. Kor has nobody to blame but himself for this nickname. But the group? Is it just those two? I thought there were more. Well, that's fine. So what were you talking about before we arrived? Business, my dear Tora. Whose mind never strays. My dear Tora, whose mind never strays from the chilly peaks of the mountains of money that she's made, but telling me that the latest cold trade news. Tora, exciting times are upon us. We are not the only ones being tested for weak spots. Vladimir set on putting the Ultraquisitors out of business, and it looks like he's got Mercy's blessing to do it. The big beasts are picking off the small ones. I think things are only going to get more interesting from here on out. Kor, that means it's time for us to step up and become major players, eh? Kor winks at Jai. I know a couple of Cheknars from the Ultraquisitors. They're dry as you like. We could tell them to cool their heels with us, and they'll be more willing at the other altars. We could take on Falco and even blow Vladimir out the airlock too. Jai, Kor, my sweet, before you go chewing fascinating with the Cheknars, you need to clear the altar and hide the pulses. If Vladimir's playing all the lines, he won't touch me. But I don't want to shift the risk onto you. There's chatter about the commission. The conversation quickly turns into an impenetrable mishmash of terms from the secret argot of cold traders. And what is this? Who are you? Falco. They were just talking about you. Mercy's gift. On combat the wears where this cloak gains a plus 15 bonus to fellowship whenever there are no enemies in a 4-cell radius. Falco, the man who has just approached the table, is hideous by anyone's standards. A repulsive face, greasy hair, and bulging veins at his temples. His attempt at an amiable smile is so transparently false and off-putting that your fingers itch to reach for your weapon. It's a surprised look askance at you. He says, Mrs. Haidari, allow me to wish you a happy Amakar. The Marakar, Master Mercy, cannot let such an occasion go unmarked. He sends his warm wishes and a gift. Right, oh Falco, I am much obliged and touched by your presence. May the fire in your heart burn forever bright and hot like the stars of the Grandmar system. Tell Mercy that this show of his precious attention toward my humble self brought dew to my eye and song to my heart. Yeah, Octavian, isn't Falco the one who stole Jai's cargo? The very same, the greasy piece of Grox, Octavian says, wearing the sweetest, most amiable smile one could imagine. But the stars of the Grandmar system are all died around 100,000 years ago, and the systems around them are a true breeding ground of death. Oh, fantastic. It's a customer of the Kibellah to 10 parties of people you have tried to ruin. Who's this Mercy? Where's your present for Jai, Falco? Get out, you scoundrel. You're not welcome at this table. Yeah, what about your present for Jai? It's her party. Falco, the smuggler, stares at you unblinkingly with his pale eyes, saying nothing. Then he arranges his mouth into a smile, remarkable in its hideousness, of course. And this gift is from me personally, Mr. Saidari. Got exotic venom blade. 14 to 21 and some venom damage. Really need to get Kibellah some Yukari weapon trainery or weapon proficiency. Not sure though if she can actually take it. Should check that out next time we level her up. Falco turns away from the tables. You see a snarl of feral hatred twist his already repulsive features. Even foes bring down before Shehadari, that is something worth celebrating. And best not to antagonize things too much. Alright, take our leave. Powerful our moments of happiness here, Shireen. Go, but know that you are always welcome here. Okay, quick little party. You're just walking away. Oh, you just disappeared.
Oh, what lies beyond?
So that's that for now. And no commentary from the rest of retinue. Anyways, that should be it for now, I believe. Okay, so quick little errand dealt with. So we should be free to head back to Dargonus. Yeah, more or less cleared up.
Ha! There will be no peace in my wake.
One little thing, make sure Jai doesn't have anything new after that.
You are spoiling me with the splendor of your presence again, Shireen. Have you decided to treat your soul to the fruits of my... Oh.
Nope, nothing more. Yeah, and then these locations we can't do anything with yet. So what is happening now? Our Captain Emergency Report, the augurs have detected several void ships slowly encircling us. Requests for this pursuit to cease have been completely ignored, but an unmanned vessel has been dispatched in our direction, broadcasting only two words: Gift and Haydari. Giant Exalted One. Incinerate these void jackals. What does it mean? Jai's agitated voice comes from the Vox channel. Shireen, this whole thing stinks worse than a dead Grox. It's also eerily similar to how Kibellah agents operate. With your permission, I would like to see what kind of gift those tight-lipped ash mags have sent me. Vox Master patiently awaits your instructions, flipping switches and occasionally emitting cracking static from her integrated Vox system. So what ships are they? A frigate and 4 raiders. Their captain no identifying marks, so they're probably pirates, although the augur masters report that they are well coordinated, more so than your typical void rabble. Or the Voidborn to bring the package aboard? Yeah, that's a no. Contact the flagship. We're not bringing any suspicious packages. Body Lord Captain, our attempted calls to the unknown pursuers or ships have been automatically relayed to the beacon on the pilotless vessels. Okay, sense a trap. The not knowing is tearing me apart, Shireen, but I do respect your decision. I would think twice, and think again in your shoes before I sent my own guys off to only the Exalted One knows where. Voxmaster static comes over the line, siren blares again, and the Voxmaster turns to you. We have finally been alerted to an incoming Vox mission. My officers are standing by to connect you to the unidentified parties. Oh, now they want to talk. Alright, so let's see who they are. It will be the Lord Captain. Toto the Vulture. Nice name. A minute later, the Vox line crackles with static, followed by a rough, drunken voice. Lobby, is her ladyship Rogue Trader? Her ladiness, Rogue Trader von Throne Damned Valancius. I humbly tug Meforlock to you, milady. We mean no offense, our convoy is but a mark of respect for your holy self. You wouldn't have stopped to talk to us, would you, if we hadn't given your officers a good scare? Oh, where are my manners? I forgot to introduce myself. Toto the Vulture, at your most noble service. Not the best impression to start off threatening. To the point, you're only alive because you briefly alleviated my boredom. So you admit you were threatening the Rogue Trader, and yet you're not the least bit afraid. Exactly. Don't take me. Could a lowly commoner like me pose any threat to your Rogue Trader-ness? Not in a million years, I'm a cowardly lad, I swear on my mother's life. It's just my boss is a pretty important man in the Expanse, and I'm his envoy, if you like. And they say that honest folk don't go around killing envoys. A little bird told my boss that you got rats on your ship. Well, we're the best rat catchers this side of the maw, your trader ship, and we're ready to take that problem right off your hands. All you have to do is put Jai Hadari on a pod and send her straight to the coordinates we'll give you. My boss has been after her for a while, but he's generous to those who help him. Jai, you're no vulture. You're the worst kind of ashmag. A voice just as rough as Toto's the Vulture's bursts into the Vox channel. Tell me, you son of a Rock's envoy jackal, who sent you? Toto, and the critter runs right into the trap. The Vulture chuckles honestly. I'm afraid I can't reveal his name. Really, give him up cargo? No. So we can give him a Jai. During my renewal, you threatened me. What can your boss offer me? And then remember, you and your boss will pay for insolence. That's it, not terribly dull. Tolman alert all stations, prepare to engage. So, the answer is no, then. That's probably for the best, your lateness. I make a bad negotiator, but a damn fine pirate. Before the Vox mission cuts off, you hear a rasping shout. Falco says hello, Jai Hadari, and screw you. Well, looks like he really did not want to give up that sword. Well, this would be quick, probably. Almost three, I thought there were four of them.
Engage the macro cannon.
Already giving up.
Macro cannons.
You get torpedoes too.
Engage the lock. Let the macro cannons sing their twisted song. Sail upon the seas of void.
And nope, we don't have the angle for this.
Set course.
And that's the expeditious reload is actually working this time around.
Engage the macro cannon. Initiate macro cannon barrage.
I don't know not enough for a level up. Did we get any damage from that? Barely. Jai, any commentary?
You are spoiling me with the splendor of your presence again, Sherry.
Yeah, it seems like you and the
Have you
tricks are
decided to
core
treat your
close.
soul to the
Jimmy
fruits
lost
of
his
my
head.
eloquence? Or do you wish to discuss? My gang is quite the void beast, Sherry, with 3 heads stemming from a single neck. Kor's untimely demise will not interfere with our mutual business. I do feel sorry for his twin, though. Tora has been getting into trouble with her brother since they were kids. Getting out of trouble too, but not this time. But why are we talking about the departed, Shireen? We must save a few good words for the living. Take Falco, for example. I will impale that ashmag on a stake, Shireen. You will see. I will pick a slim one, so he has more time to appreciate it.
Did we actually learn that Kor was actually dead? Apparently so.
Oh,
Well, don't have any business with Falco just yet. Maybe he'll send more people later on. A trickle of disturbing news comes from the Navigator Sanctum. Over the last few days, allegedly there is a vast shadow following the void ship to the depths of the Sea of Souls. Mere hours before emerging in real space, the vessel shuddered and unidentified Leviathan had emerged from the roiling warp, wrapped its tentacles around the ship, and started squeezing, trying to crack the hull like an egg. Fantastic. Pray for salvation. Really wish we could actually just fight that. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Warship crew did everything it could to release the vessel from the nightmarish creature's grasp. Bulkheads groaned and snapped, entire chambers depressurized, and screams of people left alone with the warp spawn made Vox operators go mad as their hair turned gray. At last, the navigator executed an emergency translation into real space, and only the opening of the escape portal made the unknown aggressor retreat. Was a lot of damage. Yeah, do we have anything to replace on this? Yeah, these ones, they do more damage, but they're short range. Let's go with the improved aspects array. I don't think the evasion is doing too much. Let's confess the report discontent among their flock during the traditional sermon. Archer ritual chandeliers. 100 candles were snuffed out at once. The missionaries attribute this incident to an open ventilation shaft, but the woodsmen notice it and are whispering an ill omen, fearing the woes that may come. 44% either way. Oh, failed it. Though it doesn't seem like there are any negative effects. Aside from a few issues, I arrived on Dargonus once again. So first stop by the Administratum to report the result of our Thassera vessel investigation. Then back to the palace.
They will see. Oh, yes, they all will see.
Prefect Volter. The shriveled insect-like old woman greets you with a keen look. Welcome back to the Temple of Law and Order, your ladyship. I've already been informed that you are here about Thassera. Prefect Volter nods to herself and snaps her middle fingers, prompting a serval skull to float closer. The creaking of his quill filling the air. Begin entry 51/4 Alpha in the matter of the world of Thassera and its obligation to pay the Imperial tithe. This audience with Prefect of the Adeptus Administratum is now in session. Now then, what were your findings? Solomon told the Prefect everything. Heretic seized power on Thassera and had to be executed. Discovered a warp active mineral on Thassera in order to be studied. This resource proves sufficiently useful to the Imperium. Must include it in the tithe. The Prefect grimaces. I can quite confidently deem the outcome to be adverse to the interests of the Imperium. Unless your leadership, I am duty bound to deliver an exact and impartial assessment of the events. Rogue trader Gamma Von Philantis authorized the study of a presumably warp-corrupted material located on the world of Thassera. Due to the danger of the planet resulting from the decision, tithe shipments from Thassera can no longer be considered safe and are to be halted until further notice. Noted and recorded. Aside from the warp corruption that should be good for the planet, no need to deal with the tithe. The Prefect chews on a lip in a thought. I'll be frank with you, your ladyship. The conclusions that were drawn regarding the Thassera inspection were far from satisfactory. Minor disturbances such as mass execution of mutants or the rabble's plot disguised as celebration are not nearly as dangerous as the, if you'll permit my choice of words, coup that resulted from your intervention. I understand the consequences are something that those endowed with the power are wont to leave to their servants to deal with, and therefore something they find acceptable to ignore. Scribia's ocular lenses flash as she looks up from her scrolls. However, I hope my words may help you to revise your approach to executing the Imperium's will and the Corona's expansion in the future. At the top of her nail, she dismisses the serval skull. Who that resulted from your intervention? You're saying that was more of a problem? There's gonna be a coup either way. Guy was going to abandon his post, so leadership would be changing regardless. I took care of the problematic world of yours, and you're twisting the facts. The Prefect's ocular lens flashes as she replies in an offended tone. I, his lowly and unworthy servant, have no right to twist any facts. My duty to assess consequences and do everything I can to make sure the Imperium receives what it is owed. That is the purpose of my existence. Suddenly the old woman's voice becomes less stern and almost didactic. Speaking from my wealth of experience, if I do say so myself, taking care of the Imperium's prosperity is a heavy burden, albeit an honorable one. The fact that even a rogue trader can run into difficulties while doing it only further confirms my many years of observation. If you say so. How did you obtain such a detailed information about the events of Thassera? I mean, I know Solomon was going to send a report. Did he already send it? Duty to said that administratum officials always be adequately informed, otherwise their service to the Imperium's orders would be rather questionable use. Unfortunately, it is for this same reason that I cannot disclose my sources to you. Of course. Regardless, the matter is closed. Closed and recorded, yes. The old woman smacks her lips in satisfaction. However, that was just the first item on the agenda. Now, on to the next matter. Really? Another one? The Prefect beckons over another serval skull, which obediently takes its place at her side. Begin entry 52/1 Sigma. Competency competency assessment of Proctor Solomon Anther based on his performance during the mission on the world Thassera. Competency assessment. You hear a painful metallic creak as Solomon's augmented hand clenches into a fist. Competency assessment. Rebel Prefect, I am listening. There was a whole evaluation for him too. Who gives you the right to evaluate Solomon? Well, that is kind of part of her job. Someone has finally caught you by the scruff of your neck. Or someone has finally caught you by the scruff of her neck. Or Solomon did nothing to consider a violation of the Lex Imperialis. I don't believe he has. So to avoid a misunderstanding, allow me to clarify that I am not making any judgment, rather gathering information at Marshal Strack's request. The prefect turns to Solomon. Dr. Anther, you will be evaluating your own conduct in this instance. For my part, I will merely state a few key points. Let us begin. How would you describe your performance, taking into account the following facts? Vulture produces a parchment scroll. He took part in the execution of an administrative appointee without its appropriate permission. You also allowed yourself to be captured, thus endangering your mission and imperiling the valuable equipment issued to you by the Adeptus Arbites. Furthermore, you sanctioned a tithe-related decision that carries adverse consequences for the Imperium. Solomon pauses. That is all. Proceed to your self-evaluation. Took part in the execution of an administratum appointee. Right, the governor. He was a heretic doing heretical stuff. He would have been executed anyways. Extremely heretical stuff. Without being captured. That was a bit unexpected. Didn't really help that one. Yeah, about this tithe-related decision. That was more a decision about the Von Valent's world, though. Then again, he may have actually had authority to override anything on that. Solomon. His heavy gaze is fixed upon the prefect as he lowly forces the first word out of his jaws, as if they have turned to stone. I took every effort and was acting solely in the name of the Lex Imperialis. However, the outcome of the mission speaks for itself. My verdict is thus that my performance in the Thassera case was inadequate. Coulter, noted and recorded. The prefect's immaculately polished ocular lenses bore into you once more. Now that the Thassera inspection report has been properly entered into the record, allow me, on behalf of the Duchess Administratum, to officially extend our gratitude to you for the support you provided to us. May the Von Valence's name be forever praised, and may the Emperor protect your dynasty for many generations to come. That said, you must now request your assistance in a different capacity. A number of highly important court cases have accumulated at the Palace of Justice, the kind that requires a formal resolution by the rogue trader herself. Well then, we are going to court now, apparently. So how exactly will the trial proceed? The defense will speak first, whereupon you can ask me clarifying questions on the case, and then the woman gives you a meaningful look over her ocular lenses. The death sentence must be passed. You are, of course, free to judge otherwise, but an execution is preferable, since in every case that will come before you, an outcome without highly unpleasant consequences is unlikely. Execution reduces the number of malcontents and motivate prospective defendants to solve the problems before they come under the purview of the rogue traders court. Basically, executing people just makes it easier for you. One of the rogue traders' main duties is to mete out justice. I agree. We can get this over quickly, as important as these cases may be. For some businesses, so. No, it's more to mete out justice, and this is about domain management. If it is something that she has to do, then she has to do it. Walter, I've relegated my current task in advance, and thus I am ready to escort you to the Palace of Justice immediately. Please follow me. Is that a cannon? Okay, immediate firing squad, apparently. Court Administrator. You're greeted by an impeccably dressed man with a perfectly straight back. An RB scale emblem is embroidered on his clothes. Glory to House von Valensis, we are honored to welcome you to the Palace of Justice. Your Ladyship, do you wish to proceed to the session at once, or will you grace me with any questions I might humbly answer? First off, what kind of cases are usually heard here? Only the most important ones that involve the interests of the highest born persons and prominent factions of the Imperium. Disputes between noble houses that go on for generations, conflicts between the God Emperor's servants who are vested with authority and whose disagreements affect trade and security in the Protectorate, and other litigations of supreme significance. Some of the cases litigated at the Palace of Justice quite literally concern matters of life and death. In such instances, there is always a guilty party whose lies, connivances, or negligence have caused damage to the Protectorate. The task of the judge is to establish guilt and pass a stern sentence, as order cannot be imposed without these, or without summary execution. Alright. Doesn't seem like there's too much to this, so let's begin. Please follow me. And I have not been able to save. Alright, Volter. Inscribio Volter, a dreary, vox-amplified voice carries across the hall. The court will now hear case BP-1453/2, Doleful Hosts, against the aristocratic choir of Dargonus representatives, or the parties will present their arguments following standard procedure. Okay, I'm gonna actually have to pay attention, or at least more attention. Sister Juth. A woman with lines of scripture all over her skin folds her arms into an aquila. My name is Sister Juth, and I represent the Doleful Host. O God Emperor's anointed one, we came upon a group of heretics whose minds brimmed with the most shameless thoughts. We captured them and tortured them as befits the transgressions. From what we are able to discern from their wailing and screaming, the head of the aristocratic choir is plotting to betray House von Valensis. No one is a liar when flame is caressing the flesh. The Doleful Host surrounded the choir building and demanded that the heretic be handed over. It was solely out of respect for the anointed one that we refrained from burning down the wayward heretic's den on the spot. However, say but the word and we shall take him, that he may undergo a righteous cleansing. Okay, you captured them and tortured them, but you didn't present any actual proof. Court Administrator. The arguments are acknowledged and shall be weighed on the scales of justice. The representative will retreat to the Chapel of Patience to await the verdict. Master Angelo. The gaunt man dressed in aristocrat's robes is standing tall, but his voice trembles with fury. I am Master Angelo. I represent the Dargonus aristocratic choir. These insidious and ignorant people are passing off their victims' ravings as truth. Your Ladyship, people will say anything under torture just to make the agony stop. We have served for House von Valensis faithfully for decades, and must suppress the lungs of all. Please order them to stand down. Master of the court repeats the same monotonous formula, bidding the other representative to leave the courtroom. Let's see if our core master knows anything about Master Brass. At once, Lord Captain. Also just falls silent for several minutes until Victus's voice returns. Choir Master Wise has known Master Brass for quite a long time. He has made a very measured statement to the effect that for some time now, the mental images conveyed for Brass have taken on a shade of profound insanity and have become more aloof and detached overall. Dr. Wise attributes this to Brass's horrific experience during the Warp Storm, but he's less than completely sure, as there is still something that sets the Dargonus Choir Master's messages apart from those of his fellow survivors. Okay, so at least there's something suspicious about him. Okay, it's about the scales. Scales of Justice are a sacred relic installed as testament to the lines between the Von Valensis dynasty on one side and the Deptus Arbites and the Administratum on the other. Legends say ancient machine spirits dwell within the relic. Scales of Justice are only used on extraordinary occasions when the intervention from the rogue trader is necessary. Ceremony dictates that items symbolizing the party's arguments be placed on the scales. Once the verdict is announced, the machine spirits weigh the decision made and show the either affirmation or rejection to the position of the scales. However, there have never been occurrences where the rogue trader and the spirits of the scales were divided on the verdict. Check use failed. Dynasty should be proud to have such a great and wise mechanism installed in its domain. Yeah, really annoying that it only uses our last setup party for situations like these. Alright, details about the parties and the conflict. As the prefect leans towards you, you get a whiff of ink and candle wax. The Footfall host is a respectful cult of the God Emperor. The Dux Ministorum has deemed them to be paragons of virtue, combat every manner of heresies, and has enlisted their aid in various conflicts. Naturally, the ecclesiarchy stops short of counting them among its warriors, but it uses them in very similar ways. The least trustful to you people. The Astropath Choir hardly needs an introduction. They are some of the most valuable servants of the Imperium, without whom any and all communication between worlds would collapse. The Dargonus Choir took horrific casualties in the recent major warp storm. Master Press made an enormous effort to at least partially restore communication. While we may not have proof of his innocence, Press's dedication to his duty is beyond doubt. No one locks their shriveled fingers together. As you can see, this is an intricate situation. Yes, quite is. But once again, you have no way of knowing what the correct decision should be. This does look like a complicated issue. We'll kind of lean towards the Astropathic Choir since they're actually needed for communications. To get rid of them, that could hinder our ability to communicate with the different parts of our holdings. Retinue, what's your opinion? I would argue, Captain, without a choir master, the power of the Dargonus' Astropaths would be significantly diminished, unless a worthy replacement is found in Master Press. It cannot be executed. Central frowns. There's a shorter world that owes us an old debt which can be paid with a seasoned astropath. We can make the request, although it would leave the planet in question with barely any means of communication. Solomar, both parties have shown disrespect for the Imperial authority. The Footfall host is engaged in mob justice, and the defendant did not even deign to stand trial in person. Sentence them both to death. That would be the optimal outcome. Really? You're always sending people to death. Yeah, we need to see why the doleful host even suspected them in the first place. Oh, no, because that's just hearing the same things over again. Homer, is it not excessive to execute both parties? No, such a vertical in mind, such your subjects is that only the rogue trader has the right to administer justice. Besides, if we take the host's side, it will inspire new self-proclaimed executioners. And if we absolve the astropath, and he turns out to have been guilty after all, other heretics will feel safe to act with impunity. That's why I advise you to be stern. Alex is on your side. Yeah, he is right on that aspect. Is there any further investigations that we can do? Apparently not. The prefect's dry finger pressed down the runes on her data slate. As I thought, I deeply regret to inform you that said further investigation is possible. The host fighters are already breaking down the doors of the choir. Delaying the decision would lead to uncontrollable consequences. Okay then. So we're gonna have to either execute one of them or both of them. Yeah, letting them run rapid with their own fanaticism is not a particularly good idea. As you wish, your leadership, who is to face the death penalty? Brass is guilty, escort him for his execution. Clear the choir master of all charges in order to assist you to be executed. You execute Press. Get efficiency up. Put a soul more than security up. And execution dismissed. Lower everything, so that's a no. Also, really don't want to borrow anyone from Chorda, since they may not be particularly loyal. Maybe it would be better just to execute both. If we execute them both, we're still gonna have to get some from Chorda. Maybe the safer option. Judith hasn't actually presented anything compelling as to why she's doing all this. And they're already acting on their own. So yeah, execute Sister Judith. If past ends up being an issue, we can deal with them later. Rogue Trader has passed her verdict. Sister Judith is hereby sentenced to death for making an attempt on the life of the head of the Astropathic Choir. Walter, the Rogue Trader has made her decision. Arbitrators carry it out. Efficient, fully disintegrates the body. The prefect proceeds matter of factly in the next scroll. Court will now hear petition CR1547/33. Stated, the petitioner is Cardinal Anglis. Your arguments, please, Cardinal. Now standing on the ashes. And God man raises his bloodshot eyes at you for a moment. All sounds cease, even the where are they? Even the scratching of the countless silver skull quills. The man's gaze, full of pain, so strong and undiluted that your breath seizes in your throat. I am impure, O Emperor Noted One. I am beset by pure thoughts, but no one believes my confessions. I have been giving away the treasures I possess only for people to bring me more. More still is the knowledge that I am leading people astray. Look at me and believe a state of perfect grace is attainable. I am very tired. The Cardinal blinks away a tear and continues. The most terrible of all is that my brethren, the preachers of the Chronos Expanse, see me as a holy man. Their delusion has been so persistent that they sent a petition to Holy Terror asking that I be made a saint. And that was when I became firm in my decision to submit to torture in front of my congregation, thus reminding them that no holiness exists unless bestowed as a gift by the God Emperor. Even clerics of my rank can and must repent, thus becoming more pure every day. Please allow me to undergo mortal torture in his name in front of my parishioners. Okay, odd request. I'm asking to be tortured to death for his wickedness. That's correct. In addition, he insists on your subjects bearing witness to it. Listen to them, so to speak. To refuse a cardinal is impious in itself, but to execute one who is a saint in all but name, devise an elegant rendering of the sentence, one that will convince everyone that you are in the right and save you from being branded as a saint killer. All you must do is accuse the cardinal of intending to murder an all but canonized individual. Interesting. Oh, I wonder if we had passed those previous checks, we could have found a different solution to that last case. Retinue, your opinion. Blitzern Webb is knowledgeable in ways to torment one's flesh without going to Undying One before due time. Domin, allow us to help Arnaud and Villas attain enlightenment and experience the purity of a near-death state. Undergoing our rite should make him realize it is not his gift to sever his own thread. Solmar, according to Lux Imperialis, a candidate saint may personally challenge their sainting by petitioning the Ecclesiarch on Holy Terra. Sidestepping the head of the Imperial cult is a violation of the Emperor's law. Since astropathic communication with the illicit Imperium has been disputed, I propose to put Cardinal Avlos on a ship that crosses the Maw, that he can submit his request with every formality observed. Oh. Surprising he didn't sentence him to death. Oh yeah, the Maw is closed. That does nothing to diminish the stipulations of the Lex Imperialis. Besides, following the letter of the law absolves you of the necessity of tainting your hands with the blood of a potential saint. Either the cardinal will cross the Maw, thus proving his sainthood, or he will perish if the Emperor wills it. As you can see, the Lex Imperialis has all the answers. Okay, yeah, I guess that actually works. Kibellah's decision grants us complacency, Lamorn's security. And then the solution we came up with, efficiency. Taking permission to torture a holy man, you are violating both secular and ecclesiastical law. For that, I sentence you to death. Or with Kibellah, yes, just torture him to near death. Licensing 1, security 2, or efficiency. We'll go with the solution that we actually passed the check for. A modicum of respect can be glimpsed in the prefect's gaze in your direction. A very balanced decision. It sets a precedent that, through reasoning by analogy, will help optimize other court cases on Dargonus. And everyone's happy. The rogue trader has made a decision, arbitrators carried it out. Well, they already did. Let's move on to the last case for today. Court will now hear case DP1646/7. Lady Moles Secundus against the late Lord Moles. Lord Moles being deceased, he will be represented by his progeny. Agartha and Silas Moles, representatives for the parties, will present their arguments following standard procedure. Lady Moles. Your ladyship, I am Lady Moles Secundus. Only 8 cycles ago, a man broke into my house, posing as my husband, the late Lord Moles. Contrary to what I know, he denies that he was killed by pirates. Instead, he probably survived thanks to the God Emperor's providence. However, I hold to hear his death certificate issued by the Administratum, which clearly states that my husband passed away. I demand that this fraud be executed. The woman belligerently waves around a scroll on which the words declared dead are clearly visible. Court Administrator, the arguments are acknowledged and shall be weighed on the scale of justice. The representative will retreat to the chapel of patience to await the verdict. Agartha, your ladyship, our father did survive. He really was captured by pirates. We were going to demand ransom, but the Imperial Navy managed to board the ship and rescue him. After he went missing, our mother, Lady Moles, arranged for a death certificate before we received the good news. Now, we are in the humiliating position of having to prove that our father is alive, while our mother is living with her new husband, Lord Secundus, and has taken over our family business. We implore you to restore Lord Moles to his life and name. He is humbly awaiting a decision in the Chapel of Patience. Why wasn't he actually speaking for himself? Then again, if he was declared dead, he probably wouldn't have a right to speak. All arguments have been acknowledged. What does Lord Moles have to say? Presumably, yeah, this is going to be what I said about him being declared dead and not having a right. The prefect plays a vox recording of one of the cerebral skulls. The soft voice is interspersed with static, but you're able to make out the word. I am Moles. When the pirates captured me, I thought I was doomed, but fate proved to be more gracious than that. I hurried home, only to from my own house, by my servants, and learned that Lady Moles had already had me declared dead and married Lord Secundus. He'd also take control of our everything. Agartha and Silas have recognized me. I'm losing my mind. What does the Moles family do? What does the Secundus family do as well? The Moles family manufactures nutritional rations. They supply the Astra Militarum as well as worlds that have no food production of their own. The Lord of the Helm, they cover the needs of 3 regiments and 5 worlds. Now it is 5 regiments and 12 worlds. One might say Lady Moles Secundus has done much better than her husband. Interesting. So it is prospering under new management. So our talents are self-evident. He could easily boost production on any planet. What might be called her promotion on God's punishment would bring tangible benefits. You just happen to think of several backwater worlds that have good potential but lack the capable stewardship to match it. So that is certainly a possibility. Retinue ideas. Cassia. This is a complicated situation. But Lady Secundus was acting in the Imperium's interest. She had shouldered the duty of care for the family business, and was in no position to wallow in her grief for cycles upon cycles. Cassia throws back her shoulder and says in a dignified voice, "Marriage between people of noble birth is a union of two servants of the Emperor. Duty toward the Imperium is at the heart of the union. If there comes a long period of time when one of the spouses is unable to fulfill the obligations, the marriage loses its meaning. If we could codify this understanding in law, that would help resolve the situation." So more, if Lady Secundus is right, then her children or the imposters' accomplices are guilty of defending the authenticity of the administrative documents. Elsorman has enough sang-froid in him for regiment. Let the woman know that her heirs must face the same fate as her criminal, or stipulates the Emperor's law. Okay, so we execute the kings too. Prefect, relay Solomon's words to Lady Moles. As you wish. Prefect's dry fingers tap quickly on her data slate. He looks up from the bid screen and says in a colorless voice, Lady Secundus has confessed to bribing an administrative official and is pleading for her offspring to be spared. Oh, okay, that was rather easy. Okay, verdict time. So I guess we'll go with the punishment of sending her to a backwater world to administer it. Execute the imposter. Well, no, we already know that it's not an imposter. Oh yeah, it was a crime committed in the Misratum. Someone was bribed. Yeah, but sentencing Lady Secundus to world development, that would benefit us. Yeah, about the crime committed in the Misratum that has led to this hearing. The indignant prefect shakes her head energetically. He's a mother trying to save her children. That may have been a false confession. And that is what is worse, a false accusation against the Secret Service of the Administratum. As you can see, inscribed, your system isn't perfect, but I have mercy. Compensate Lord Moles for the damage he has incurred, and let him decide the fate of his wife and the heretical. Wish to pass a different verdict. Or sentence her to death. That would be the dogmatic response, but we lose out on profits if we went like. Would be heretical and execute everyone. No, that is too much. Yeah, it looks like we can't deal with both the issue of the bribery and benefit from this. Yeah, she's quite eager to protect them. Son. Or maybe just to, yeah, save the reputation of the Administratum. But she could also be right that she wasn't expecting that she cares more about her children than the guy being a fake, if he is a fake. Probably would actually just be safer to go with the setting her to administer backwater worlds. Yeah, send the slated moles to duty as exploration and development of the Protector's fringe worlds. Give her everything that she needs to conduct a business. I expect her results to be requested as she has been found guilty. Lord Moles is to be deemed alive. The Moles and Splendus will depart for a place of exile before today ends. Perpetrators carry out the sentence, and nobody died this time. As the last attendants leave the courtroom, the prefect turns to you with a delighted expression. Lady Theodora held the court session like this to strengthen the subject's faith in the Lex Imperialis and their fear of reaching it. A most useful practice, wouldn't you agree? To an extent. Losing music at first, but not for long. If we are finally done, I will take my leave, hear a farce, or ask for more. Out of curiosity, are there actually more? Enthusiasm is laudable, but I am sure you understand any matter of procedure requires prior registration, which in turn involves filling out official forms and signing regulation-approved documents. It is for that reason that I am, alas, unable to honor your request. With your permission, I will now return to my duties. Thank you. Okay, well, that's a bit of an interesting diversion. And knowing that we couldn't save to check out the different outcomes for that first choice, the first trial. So that wouldn't be bad if visions like that popped up occasionally. Now then, how do we leave this place? Also, anything to loot? A little bit.
Did you hope to see an Azoriani fail?
Probably no need to actually worry about those things.
Patience. My nerves are frayed.
Yeah, a few more lore chat. We don't need to worry about it much. Okay, looks like the quests are finally cleared. Yep, no more dealing with the administratum. I think we have to be talking to Achilles. He is at somewhere. There he is. Oh yeah, then we also have to talk to the planetary governor, I think. Okay, no, I think the governor is what's going to progress. So the operation of the administrative apparatus on Dargonus. Well, let's talk to Achilles first. See what he has to report. Hopefully it won't automatically progress things. Though, yeah, before we do that, be right back. Small break. Alright, let's continue. Achilles, what were you wanting? Mr. Scalander, the slender figure, clad in robes made from expensive fabric, shudders from violent coughing. Pressing a gilded respirator to his face, the man takes several deep breaths. Heinrichs, Achilles, it's been many moons. I hope your cousin is feeling well. Achilles covers his burnt lips, trying and failing to suppress a coughing fit. She is in good health. She sends her regards to you as well as her wishes for your swift return. Heinrichs frowns. For long as the stars shine in the sky, my vigil continues. Achilles, so it does. Achilles thumps himself on the chest with his augmented hand. You hear the clang of metal against metal. I'm not so foolish as to fail to notice a conversation in code. You might just be. Pascal, not so much. Your insight deserves credit, rogue trader. Then again, I expected nothing less from Theodore von Valence's successor. Heinrich looks at Achilles. Allow me to introduce Achilles Scalander properly. In addition to his duties as Secretary of Demonstratum, he acts as an agent of the Golden Throne under my aegis. Master Scalander was transferred into my remit by a colleague who's engaged in other matters in the Chronos Expanse. I'm sure you will find Achilles' service useful, especially when dealing with the schemes of humanity's foes within the borders of your protectorate. Achilles, greetings, Lady Gamma von Valences. Allow me once again to express my deepest condolences on the loss of Lady Theodora. I will do anything I can to track down and destroy all of Kunrad Voitrier's accomplices on the capital world. Yes, you do that. Do you know anything about what has become of Kunrad? Achilles nods grimly. Word of his treason reached Dargonus too late. Kunrad came to the planet and left almost immediately. Once he had sown discord in the minds of the gullible and naive, the worst of the rumors he started was that you were the one responsible for Lady Theodora's sudden demise. Of course, your loyal subjects did their best to skin alive any who showed signs of doubt, but it seems unlikely that the wardens got to everyone who has allowed doubt into the heart and now nurtures it in secret. Yes, I have to assume you do not know where he headed off to. Now then, scars on his face, a bit rude. Yeah, I suppose may as well. He coughs. 5 years ago, there was an accident. Several tanks from Promethean exploded in the storehouse at my estate, and I was buried alive under the rubble. The Emperor preserved my soul, and the skilled physicians of Dargonus saved my body, except for my lungs, with which I had to part. I presume this incident was an attempt on my life, but the identity of whoever was behind it remains a mystery. After all this time, So what are your responsibilities here on Dargonus? Officially, I'm a secretary at the World's Administratum Department. Less officially, I'm afraid I can't disclose that even to you. In short, I collect and investigate reports of heresy taking root on upstanding planets of humanity. Above all else, I'm concerned about the Xenos threat that hangs over the entire Chronos Expanse, including your protectorate. Sadly, my mission was complicated by the recent warp disturbances. I'm still trying to reestablish contact with many of my agents. So what about the Xenos? Particularly Drukhari, considering that they are running around the region stealing suns. The residents of the local systems are no strangers to skirmishes with enemies of humanity. But recently, the loathsome beasts seem to have completely flown off the handle. We're receiving reports from ships that made it through the warp to Dargonus. Both they and the colonies that they departed from being attacked. We have identified the breed of Xenos that pose this threat, the Drukhari, humanity's Ancient and insidious foes. Be vigilant on your travels. The Xenos will undoubtedly attack a rogue trader's ship should they find the circumstances to be in their favor. Unfortunately, in the host of humanity, there are those who are willing to grovel before enemies in the hopes of a valuable reward. You may be interested to know that we are on the trail of such heretics. Keyless glances at a data slate. Overwhelming evidence indicates that a plundered void station in Langstron's belt is used as a base by a band of pirates who are not above dealing with Xenos. I was unable to persuade the Chancellor of the needed to dispatch a ship there, but perhaps you would like to pay a courtesy call to these scoundrels yourself. Yes, assuming that we haven't already. We'll deal with that eventually. Yeah, I really feel like we might have been to Langren's and Belts. Was that the one with the Gene Stealer cult? No, it might actually be something else. So then, about the cult of the Final Dawn. My knowledge is deplorably limited. All my attention has been focused on tracking down Xenos activity. I'm certain that Master Van Calix can tell you much more about those heretics than I. Okay, so Kilius specializes in Xenos. Henrix specializes in heretics. And he probably can't mention anything about the unofficial work. Whom do you truly serve? The rogue trader or the interrogator of the Inquisition? Not our business, sorta. I want a list of all your agents and means to contact them. Unlikely. Dargonus says you need spies from the Inquisition. Be gone. Yeah, not exactly our choice. Okay. Yeah, I doubt we'd actually be able to get anything from that. Alright. Other questions to ask. Now about the report on the state of affairs in the Protectorate. I've already forwarded all official reports to your Seneschal. As for the conversations we're having right now, I wouldn't trust any paper or data slate with its contents. See, Lady Theodora. You see, Lady Theodora, may the Emperor have mercy on her soul, was perfectly aware of Dargonus' political environment. You, however, have only just arrived on the capital world, and I thought it would be best to bring you up to speed. Frankly, the nobles of Dargonus, much like nobles on most world, are akin to spiders in a jar, ready to pounce on whoever is the weakest, or to whoever they deem the weakest. Yeah, Abelard mentioned that the nobles on Thassera are very similar to the nobles here on Dargonus, and those nobles weren't particularly pleasant. The nobles of Dargonus are well-respected, rich and powerful individuals who held Lady Theodora's favor for many years and found ways to rise above the rest by diligently serving the rogue trader. Every family pursues its own selfish interest, and each one expects that with the transition of power, they will retain and even add to the lands and wealth. The families I would recommend giving particular attention to are the Drive Stems, the Gaprex, and the Sourabacks. I should also mention the Bressarians, not a noble house per se, but a family that was part of the Theodora's inner circle. To the Blue Bloods' great displeasure. Yeah, Drive Stems, we know that they're part of the current governorship. Sourback, yeah, someone from their place is currently serving as the leader of the enforcers. Gaprek, that... Yeah, I forgot about what the Gaprex did. So, may as well start with the Drive Stems. The Drive Stems are the ancient governor house of Dargonus. Predictably, the greater the wealth of the unvalented Protectorate, the fuller their coffers grow. Their reputation is flawless except for one detail. You have evidence that urban Drive Stems rivals seem to have the misfortune of regularly falling victim to Xenos raids. I find that these attacks are always a little too advantageous for the drive stems, but we lack solid proof and it might never surface. Okay, so quite skilled with that. Heinrichs, the closer an official is to a rogue trader, the braver and safer they feel. I would just like to remind everyone that rubbing shoulders with Xenos is a heresy that can be overlooked only in the case of the Von Valence's heir, not her servant. And we see that with Erlit in the tow, or at least he's just standing out outside. Coming out the Gapraks. The Gapraks hail from a remote Forge world, and among the distant relatives, there are many servants of the Omnissiah, and the house itself is close to the cult of Adeptus Mechanicus, both in spirit and in their business connections. Oh right, weren't they involved in Kibellah? The Gapraks oversaw the industrial shipments within your protectorate until recently. Even ever since the astropathic communication with Kibellah was severed, they've been quite concerned about the security of the planet placed in their care. Right, yeah, so that's what it was. Been to Kibellah recently. The planet was tainted by the cult of the Final Dawn. Achilles shakes his head. These are grim tidings. It's a tragedy that an industrial world of such tremendous capacity was brought down by the pernicious influence of the archenemy. Perhaps my colleague can pick up the cultist trail in the cold void. Of course, it would be a small consolation to all of us. It would be nice, especially since I think Kunrad may have had involved in getting that world handed over to the heretics. Now then, Sarbak. Religious and hardworking, the Sarbaks own many enterprises, including distillation manufactorums that produce promethium. I must note that lately members of the Sarbak family have been prone to overly literal statements about the Von Valence's dynasty. They believe that Lady Theodora was a bit too keen to leave her world without proper oversight. Now about the Versarians. The Versarians are a line founded by Lady Theodora's seneschal, and as such are nominally considered nobility, at least from the standpoint of the Imperial Navy, from which Lord Abelard hails. On Dargonus, however, their position is precarious. Firstly, they never were granted an official title, a process which has been impeded for decades by the old houses of Dargonus, and secondly, the other families did not see them as equals, but more an upstart clinging to the rogue trader's favor. The Versarians are responsible for the capital world's fleet and the majority of the cargo shipments on domestic routes. Okay, so quite a few responsibilities on that. But during all that, I now feel an urge to have every one of the sycophants executed at once. That would be a bit much. As well as incite massive rebellions. Now then about the nobles. Anything else? There was, and this time it concerns the main reason for my presence on this planet, Xenos and the threat they pose both to you and humanity as a whole. The last few months have been difficult for the people who report to me. My eyes and ears scattered throughout the Chronos expanse, warp disturbances, astropaths overcome with madness, ships disappearing in the immaterium. Many of my observers and contacts have gone dark or have been killed by some calamity or other. Still, I managed to establish communication with some key individuals who have been able to warn about incoming threats, including Xenos raids. Keyless looks you in the eye without blinking. It is within my power to supply you with intelligence on where and when the Xenos will strike next. I do not doubt that Governor Drives them will beg you for protection against the Xenos, and in this fight, the information from my contacts will serve you well. I beseech you, Gamma, if I ever report a threat looming over a ship or a planet, do not dismiss it. Sometimes it takes an intervention from the rogue traders and our mighty void ship to avert disaster. Alright, we'll be a bit busy traveling around. Maybe more fleet battles. Let's see, is that back to this? Yes, it is. Looks like that is all. Take our leave according to the message I received a few minutes ago. Governor Drivestem has arrived at court. I imagine that the Chancellor is already prepared to arrange a meeting. All that's left is to notify her that you're ready to see Urband. Yeah, she's been asking about this a few times. We have been talking to her. Let's see if the merchant has actually picked up anything new up. Nope. Okay, we could have actually accessed our ship from here. Before we do that, yeah, something about restoring the operation of the administrative apparatus on Dargonus. Well, it just says discovering this world will help restore the essential channels for communication and trade. Okay, so I'll part of reclaim what was lost. So maybe we just have to finish the quest to become the acknowledged as a ruler. In that case, let's go have our meeting with Drivestem. Tell them I'm ready to see the governor. I shall arrange for him to be escorted to your study. Really? 2 hours later? Governor Urban Drivestem, Gamma von Valance's 20th in her line rogue trader, keeper of the Sacred Warrant and ruler of the Koren's Expanse. From the Krennic system to the 100 Dreams Crossroad, I bid you welcome. Governor Urban Drivestem, Governor Urban Drivestem, governor of this great world, first and foremost, this is of my deepest condolences. It will be difficult to recover from the loss of a woman as great as Theodora von Valancius. It pains me to think that she is no longer with us. The citizens of Dargonus and the entire Protectorate grieve alongside you. Please allow us to declare half a year of mourning so that we can honor the memory of our beloved lady. Really? Half a year? The governor glances at Kibellah anxiously, then immediately averts his gaze. Then he looks at her again, but when Kibellah lets out a grim chuckle and stretches her lips, daubed in fresh blood, into a petrifying grin, the governor turns away from her sharply, all but squealing in fear. Well, year of mourning, that is a bit excessive. That would disrupt the situation here. There's no need. I am the ruler of the Protectorate, and that my subjects rejoice at my arrival instead. Actually, considering the rumors that have been spreading about Gamma having been the one to have killed Theodora, that may not be the best. And actually just let him do as he sees fit. I feel like that is also rather dismissive. Go for a full year. Really prefer not to. That feels like the better option. I will immediately give all the necessary instructions. He casually presses a few buttons on the cogitator built into his gold bracer. Esteemed Gamma, Lady Theodora was a strong leader, and we ought to follow her example. Let us lean on our wisdom and persevere in spite of this tragedy. together and let us carry on where she no longer can by leading the Von Vance's protectorate to even greater prosperity. Drysom gives you a look of admiration. It seems that he's quite aware of your fame, and this opportunity to curry favor with such an eminent figure is one he does not wish to miss. Illustrious glory made you famous far beyond the bounds of your home system. As much as the governor is trying to appear sincere, there's something in the curve of his nervous half-smile that you find troubling. Is it a hint of reproach, mockery, condemnation, or is it merely your guilty conscience playing tricks on you under the governor's keen gaze, stirring up memories of her past? Yeah, all those origin decisions. Alas, it won't be an easy task to accomplish. Some time ago, the astropaths of Dargonus flew into rage and they had to be subdued. We are gradually restoring our ability to speak with neighboring worlds, but the contacts are still weak, and the routes are tangled and no longer lead to the systems that the captains expect them to, given that the vast majority of ships in the Dargonus Navy travel without relying on the service of navigators. Without your engagement, the well-being of the Von Vance's dynasty and billions of his subjects is presently at risk. A few things to report on or talk about. Gunnar Voigtfir, former Master Whispers, is a heretic and a traitor. Has he shown his face on Dargonus? Yeah, what do you have to say about this? The governor pensively strokes the rings glittering on his fingers. Lord Voigtfir visited the capital some time ago, but he did not request a personal meeting. A heretic, you say? Now I see where all the whispering in the corridors has come from. I shall be frank with you, your ladyship. Lady Theodora's sudden death was a blow to every one of us, and the absence of any sort of verifiable and complete information about her successor gives grounds for all manners of rumors and misinterpretations, especially if someone is deliberately inciting unrest and discontent. Naturally, none would dare challenge you by accusing you of something as sacrilegious as murdering a rogue traitor. However, Gunnar Voigtfir was once a true boon of the Protectorate back in the day, and as such, some might heed his words. My subject's doubts are understandable. Too many things have changed in a short span. Prove myself worthy. Public revolt the vocal cards and tongues of every slanderer, and replace them with vox implants that sing the praises of the rogue traitor. Or dogmatic. Sentence to all who have dared to make heretical remarks about the rogue traitor to servitude. Impertious. Machines aren't prone to dissidence. Probably best to be merciful for now. My gamma, your desire is most commendable, but please do not forget, our ruler should never bow to the tenants, or some might see it as a show of weakness. What is our current iconoclast rating? Still at 216, we're at Votary. Yeah, almost halfway to Zealot. Now then, moving on. Yeah, looks like 3 is moving on to the next step. So then... yeah, about the Dargonus, the ship that we saw earlier. We met a ship from Dargonus not too long ago. The crew was transporting a strange artifact and went mad during flight. This is truly regrettable. Bit of news. What's more, leaving Dargonus has been forbidden for several cycles now. It seems the Wizarding family has once again failed in their primary responsibilities. He shoots Abelard a condescending look. Blurb, we investigate this at once, as well as the fact that the ship had to acquire a permit with the Administratum seal. Does your nephew still serve at the Administratum Palace? Drive 7. The governor presses a number of buttons on the cogitator built into his bracer and looks up at you in surprise. I don't understand. The ship did indeed depart from orbit, but it did so, if you can believe it, on the rogue trader's authorization. That's why no one dared to impede its departure. Yeah, weren't we already notified by the navigator we found that Kunrad had given them the item and set them on the way? Our Lord Captain, it would seem that Kunrad Voigt had somehow got his hands on a copy of our authorization, perhaps even the original. A tool like that in the hands of a traitor does not bode well. No, it does not. We're gonna have to do something about that. What exactly do the nobility expect from me in light of the loss of routes of communication with other worlds? Really, we can't continue this. We are all troubled by the fate of the agri-world Janus that supply Dargonus and other planets with foodstuffs. Empty stomachs can drive even the mildest rebel to revolt. Furthermore, House Gaprak is perturbed by the loss of communication with the industrial world Kibellah, which is in their charge. But if you wish to know my opinion, the world that deserves attention the most is the penal world Vivos 6, one of the key mining suppliers in your protectorate. We were there earlier. Nothing came up from that. We didn't even get an option to manage it. Such an intriguing concern for Bureau 6 outpost. Doesn't your house happen to own the extraction stations there? Good for you, Jai. See, she's not even in our party, and she's actually being counted for this. Drive Stem's beady eyes widen in fear. Your ladyship, I beg of you, do not interpret my words as an attempt to influence your decision in any way. You see, without Vivo 6, the manufactorums on your worlds will need to make haste to find new suppliers elsewhere and arrange for new shipments. And in these troubling times, that run the risk of delays and other most tragic mishaps, my only concern is for the prosperity of the von Valansis dynasty. Well, regardless of whether he owns the rights for that place, it's still being an issue does need to be looked at. Anyways, we've already been to Kibellah. The industrial world was overtaken by a cult of chaos worshippers. Trevston pauses, mulling over the gravity of your words. Such woeful tidings, your ladyship. I assume that House Gaprak is in for an official investigation. If I may remind you, they have particularly close ties to Deptus Mechanicus and serve as patrons of Kibellah, not to speak of the defense of criminals. Ladyship, but from where I stand, the outbreak of heresy on Kibellah could hardly have been perpetrated by a noble family who stands to lose the majority of the wealth should the industrial world fall. Yeah, not that the Kybraks have anything to do with this incident. It was all probably part of Kunrad's deals. One way for the investigation, see to it that punitive measures are taken against House Gaprak. No, we doubt it. They were involved. I'm glad our views on the matter align. What of the industrial world? Are we to expect trade to recommence? Yeah, we already dealt with that. Production facilities at Kibellah will serve humanity once more, rest assured. House Gaprak will be overjoyed. I thank you for dispelling the darkness around the fate of Kibellah. About Janus. Yeah, Governor Viat found herself facing a number of problems in my absence. And, well, plus she was actually a heretic. Truly, the Viat line is one of the oldest in the Von Valentine Protectorate. If the inheritor of such a well-respected blood could not handle whatever had befallen her, then the situation must have been extraordinary indeed. Yeah, Vistenza succumbed to worshipping the ruinous powers and was executed. Drevston pales in terror. It is clear from the unseemly grimace on his aristocratic countenance that his fear is not feigned. Ruinous powers, truly horrifying news. I commend your resolve and unwavering severity. Death to the enemies of humanity. Yes, death to humanity. Now then, that does it for the planets and the trade routes. What else? Xenos, your ladyship. I don't really know where to begin. He rubs the bridge of his nose wearily. Otherworldly beasts are not an uncommon sight in the Chronos expanse. They have been a menace to the world this side of the Maw for decades, but now those abominations are on the rampage. They show no signs of fear as they attack ships, either damaging them to the point where they become unfit for transport duty or outright gutting them. Only you have the power to stop this madness. We are in the process of restoring the astropathic choir of Dargonus. Luckily, we were forced to slay only some of the deranged psychers. Although those that remain are as yet unable to transmit messages. I hope Master Scalander will keep his word and offer you his support in the war against the Xenos. According to his reports, the region of Vebos 6 has been of particular concern in the last few cycles, which is still more reason to discover the colony's fate as soon as possible. Now, to issues on a smaller scale. There is a certain degree of tension in the capital due to the unorthodox succession to the Sacred Warrant. Chances of uprisings are minimal, of course, and the spreading of rumors is nothing but a sign of weakness of the mind and spirit. Nonetheless, I have prepared a list of minor houses that have demonstrated unseemly discomposure at your succession. What is to be done about them? Kibellah, command the spinners of the Bloodstone Web, and they will set a fine snare of retribution. Dominema. They will whisper names, and that whisper will drown out the insolent voices. They do seem to have a bit of insight into things. Could ignore them. Let them do as they please, but that feels like it could lead to other issues later on. Eliminate the most prominent malcontents quietly, but do not threaten the entire families. All of these steps will be enough to keep the rest from causing any more trouble. Make arrangements for public purges. All who have sullied the rogue trader's name must meet their deaths on the executioner's block. Send the disgruntled nobles lavish gifts on my behalf, and make sure that my generosity does not go unnoticed by the rest. Yeah, that feels like that'd be the worst, one of the worst decisions. They are very much going to take advantage of this if they are not particularly happy with Gamma. Yeah, going too heavy on the executions would also lead evidence to their cause. Yeah, Kibellah, you handle this. It will be done, Domingama. Let the sacrament of the hunt commence. Governor Drivestem. A cold sweat breaks out on Drivestem's face. He forces a subservient smile on his face. This will bring the noble houses into line for years to come, your ladyship. It will make them fear not only blasphemous words, but also their own shadows. And one last thing, your ladyship. Your inauguration as bearer of the Sacred Warrant is but a matter of time, and I would like to inquire about the one crucial detail. I imagine you are intending to uphold the centuries-old tradition, bolstered by an equally long-lasting friendship, of being represented at Dargonus by one of the noble houses. I presume that, as before, the duty will be accorded to House Drivestem. Shouldn't really do it with him. Which houses can represent the ceremony? Any of the noble houses located on Dargonus. Drivestem family, which I lead, the Gaprek family, with long ties to Depths Mechanicus. The Sauerbachs, known for their piety and diligence in service. Perhaps I should also mention the Rosarians, who have some influence, but who are not actually of noble origin. Any of these houses would be honored to represent you at the ceremony. Not much reason to change it up. Then again, letting Drivestem again make the choice does feel like it's kind of like giving him power. Don't want him to be too powerful. And we don't really know too much about the other houses. Yeah, the Sauerbach that we have on our ship, she's a bit much at times. I kind of don't want to give them too much influence. Gaprek, we don't know them too well either. Why just go with the Rosarians? Though would kind of anger the rest. Yeah, sure, why not? Honor upon the Rosarians. Abelard turns to you and bows respectfully. Your captain, accompanying you at such a crucial hour, is greatest honor for the Rosarian bloodline. Have no fear, we will not fail you. Drivestem tosses Abelard a look that lacks even the smallest shred of respect. Forgive my boldness, but I must remind you that the Rosarians, whose lineage tracks back to a Navy officer, are not the Dargonus nobility. Such decisions may have adverse effects on the subject's loyalty, your ladyship. Well, if they're willing to betray over this, then it'd be easier just to get rid of them. Drivestem's face breaks into a bitter smile. Shall immediately relay your commands, most gracious rogue trader. Thank you for your time. Now that I'm about your house, it will be my pleasure to enlighten you. My house is the oldest and most respected of Dargonus. My ancestors have walked side by side with yours for many generations as they cared for this world's welfare. Our duty is to supervise the governing bodies within the system subservient to you and be responsible for the protectorate's logistics and economic stability. As for me personally, I am a humble servant of the Emperor and a loyal subject of the rogue trader. And, to my great pleasure, I had the honor of calling myself Lady Theodora's close friend. Sure you did. At Urban's last words, Abelard lets out a sound that could be interpreted as either a snort or a cough. Urban gives him a look, which Abelard meets with an expression of utter nonchalance. Yeah, he thinks too highly of himself. Now then, about the ceremony. I'm afraid that until you deal with pressing issues, the ceremony will have to be postponed. Any trade routes are still unavailable. The central worlds of the Von Vales Protectorate are going through a crisis, and the warp disturbances, if void observers are to be believed, will prevent guests from reaching the capital. Okay, so maybe we have to deal with the VBOL 6 issue first. So will that be all? Thank you for your time. Since duty calls, I should take my leave. May the Emperor's grace be with you. And you went to familiar station. That thing just keeps on popping up. Okay, those quests are done. What do we have to do now? Blades in the Void. According to Achilles' Cylinder, the Xenos raids may have struck the penal ward via VBOL 6. Okay, so that one. Let's go ahead and deal with that. Factotum. People times 2. Okay. Terrible news from Dargonus Lord Captain. The Thassera Hive City, Scipion 84-249, has been destroyed in a series of cascading failures. Production has halted and millions of people have broken their vows of obedience and are fleeing. Many of them are perishing in the wastelands and overloading the transport lines leading to neighboring hives. The surrounding residential sectors are becoming increasingly agitated by the influx of refugees. What is your directive regarding the distribution of these refugees? Well, first off, what is the cause of the catastrophe? It is still unclear. The nobles' houses are casting blame on one another. Agents of the esteemed Achilles calendar stationed in Scipion 84-249 died heroically while trying to save the population from the disaster. The final reports mentioned some vulnerabilities in the industrial sectors of the lower hive, but did not go into further detail. All your servants are currently too busy dealing with the consequences of the crisis to investigate its cause. Fair enough, but they really should be getting to that as soon as possible. Advisors. The death of Achilles' agents trouble me. It may not be a coincidence until the cause of the disaster can be concretely established. I would avoid letting refugees into other hives. There may be saboteurs among them. I recommend setting up prohibitive cordons where the refugees can be contained in the wasteland between the hives. That might be the best option. Rejected, the Emperor bids us to face the often cruel strokes of fate with dignity. If the other hives do not wish to accept the unfortunate victims of this tragedy, they let the victims themselves teach those living in the hives a lesson in resilience and humility. I'm sure that the ecclesiarchy will aid the refugees in constructing camps to survive out in the wastelands and establish a community of proud desert-dwelling martyrs. Such harsh conditions will be the crucible of fortitude and fearlessness. This tragedy, a feat of spirit. Abelard, noble houses are trying to wash their hands of this. How predictable, and yet it is their duty to see to it that the planet meets its tithe obligation and brings glory and revenue to the treasury in your absence. Let the aristocrats see to the refugees and do not stop until every last one of them has been put to work. Let's see, Blood is Scipion. +1 deflection and +3 hit chance. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Heinrich's decision. Efficiency up with Argenta's. Up and Wasteland's Prayer. Decrease enemy critical damage by 15%. And that actually is pretty good. Heinrich's is for his. Bane of Scipion. +2 momentum for each human enemy killed in battle. Yeah, it's so faster to the heroic ability. Less useful, but if it does lead to a further decision or further consequences, I feel like Heinrich's is more necessary. So we figure out why the problem occurred in the first place. Yeah, especially if it's involving dead agents that were investigating Xenos. Go with Heinrichsen. I've drafted a few orders for my informants on Dargonus. The refugees quickly realized that they would not find their shelter in the hives and dispersed across the wastelands. A harsh lesson in discipline has been delivered to the capital. Van Cox's agents have run a thorough investigation to identify many of the refugees who had managed to reach and hide in the hives. Remembering how the rogue trader had treated their relatives and neighbors, they could have plotted their revenge. If only they hadn't been expelled into the wastelands. Okay, maybe they'll actually be more negative than I thought. So, what can we do here? Okay, so it's gonna block. Okay, so we can only do one of these. Reduction in profit factor, but bonuses all around. Only lose a bit of provisions. Lose a bit of people. Lose nothing. Profit factor up, security down. Gain just about everything else. Profit factor up by 2, complexity up by 2. Yeah, this one benefits the nobility, so no. Emporium. Desiring spine of Scipion 84-249 will be rebuilt into a space elevator. It will be kept by an Emporium, excepting those ships that are too heavy to land on the surface. Restoration, or that build a new hive city. Yeah, mechanisms were only down to 2. We do need more of them. Same thing with weapons. That I assume a bit better. Same thing with chemicals. Let's go with Emporium. Genetic mercy. Urges will be stopped. World that needs working hands. Well, that feels like it could be a bit of an issue then if there are gene stealers on the planet. Anything you open up the other worlds? No. Alright, on to Vivos. Okay, problems with the servitors. So, okay, yeah, we Pascal for that. Try Kibellah's weapon. Yeah, we need to upload to tank. Yeah, this setup should work. We have few machines, but it is pretty much just servitors.
Semi-autonomous tech familiar enabled.
Can't use machine spirit banishment.
In the shadows of the Imperium's ignorance, my genius blossoms. Oh, how they glorious spectacle of your demise.
16 enemies. No turrets. Okay, yeah, just cover. Movement 6. What do you have for attack? Melee. I think it should be mostly melee except for some of these ones. Like you do have proper guns. Yeah, the larger ones do. Also, lightning arc. Okay. Change up to 4 targets with a 3 assault radius. We will have to be careful of that. Cassia does go early. Might be able to stun them. Yeah, and Gamma goes the last. Turbo Skull and then this Madden Servitor. Oh, airline went first. Sure. Take out the defective service skull. These things heal, right? No, they have guns. But they also do have repair options.
If I must.
Right, use that even. Did not even see if he could hit anything.
Swift and silent. Deal death with my hands. I am not your Zeke, monkey. I understand your intent. This tedium is beneath me.
Emperor, give me strength.
Done a good deal of them. Yeah, I've got to stun that one. Looks like at least they are single shots.
Follow my lead. It will be done.
Who is next and who's not stunned? Can we blow you up? No. No range for this. Just going to... yeah, get one of these guys. Barely. Why are you running away? What was that about the self-destruct protocol? One friendly creature within a 50 cell radius. Oh, is that why that one exploded?
I bring mercy and retribution. The shadows will see it done. Death is a blessing. My blade whispers your name. Brings me no pleasure. I shall not fail. As honor ordained, let your soul be purged.
I guess the damage is a bit better.
As the tenets demand. What if? Another one. Hear you move. No more.
Give me this one. No, it's fighting. Annoying. Guess we'll got through this one.
it serves your cause. I am not your Xenos pet monkey. Fortune favors the swift. I understand your intent. Another soul slips beyond the veil. I am not your Xenos pet monkey. If it serves your cause.
Shit, skull gets finished off. Can we lure them a little bit more? Yeah, that one still didn't want to move. Try to move that thing out of the way. Oh, move the servo skull.
I am a
Well, alright then.
not a servitor. Me.
Yeah, when did you move? You weren't stunned as far as I could see.
At your beck and call. Gray hair, sure hand. It will be done.
Yeah, they explode that one.
Request approved. Function successfully terminated.
5 left. It's 3, that's 4. What's the 5th? Oh, it's right there.
My knowledge of your desire condemns you.
Don't frighten me.
A dance of blades and shadows. Trust me. I shall not. Let your soul be purged. My blade whispers your name. Let the blood of the wicked be shed as thou hast willed. Come, the other side awaits.
Two left. Well, as long as it doesn't explode, should we be able to finish them off?
Another one is shattered. Curiosity sings in my veins.
Is that it? Alright, now to continue our trip. So what is going on in Vivos? Helmsman, Lord Captain, we have cross-referenced the key characteristics of the system with our astronautical chart data. The planet Vivos 6 is located here. The problem is, Augurs detected an unusual change in the atmosphere. Not unlike a massive release of toxins. It appears that something unfortunate has happened to the planet's underground storage facilities. It's possible to land safely on the planet just now. It is impossible to land safely on the planet just now. Unknown ships are cruising in the system. No need for any cog to analyze it. I can decipher the telemetry data easily. Xenos, the armory and artillery crews are standing by. Ship needs repair? No. Okay. Right to the fight. Who are we fighting? Probably Drukhari. It's always Drukhari. Until Saldari. Yep, sharp and pointy. Huh. Okay, that's odd. Why is it set up like this? The increased coming damage, avoid that one then. You can turn around. Small fleet descend. Good, then right in this hazard. That's a lot of damage. Can't use Imperium Storm, and they do not launch torpedoes. Three torpedoes instead of one. Could be fun. Let's get the reinforced shields. And then right, increase the damage from the ram. Maybe. At the end of each turn, the most damaged sector of the flagship shield restores up to 50% of its strength. 2 rounds plus one round for every 20 points in the shield master's tech use skill. Would be nice to be able to restore shield without having to use the other shield restoration ability. Okay, further upgrade to the hull. And upgrade the ram. Oh, okay. 8 turns of restoring shields. Sounds great. We'll upgrade this. Okay, it also reloads the lances with this one. But it does lower its hit chance. Still, though, being able to reload the lance would be helpful. How much scrap do we have? Kind of spent a whole bunch of those on upgrades. 300 left. Only reduce cooldown with this one. How about the vulnerability scan? Only increase it by 5%. Oh, but it makes sure that it has a better chance of being someplace where we can actually hit it. Yeah, we'll never be located on the opposite side of the ship. Yeah, got that upgraded. Now then, Vivos 6. What is going on with you? The Ablar behind them just being Heinrichs and Solomorn. Yeah, I might get some additional commentary with Heinrichs. And if it's going to be Drukari, being able to send Glato after any of the range enemies would be nice.
The Lex prevails.
And you actually leveled up to Exemplar. Oh, exemplar talents. Restoration of their health if they have less than 20% of the wounds left. Okay, a lot of interesting options in this. So you can't use this one since you don't have a way to provide extra turns. Cataclysm, all damage done by the character is increased by 3% until the end of combat for every new enemy damaged by them in combat. By them this combat. More enemies they damage, more damage they do. So you do use ranged weapons, so no. Agent. I don't think you apply any status effects. Might be more Kibellah thing. Critical velocity depending on your dodge. Again, Kibellah. Crushing assault. Characters first melee attack each round. And you don't really do melee. Yeah, I don't think Solomon has too much in the way of dodge, even without the armor. Still though. Mark it just in case. Death Dealer. When the character kills an enemy in the first round, the character immediately makes an additional attack against the closest enemy they can with the same weapon if possible. Interesting. Might be good for arrowlets. Cassie could also benefit for it. Kibellah as well, since she has movement to target or to get to the enemies with lower HP. Though it doesn't say if they actually move to the enemy, so maybe just arrowlet then. And maybe Argenta. Not sure if Psycho Powers work as well. Degraded defense. Plus one stack with the degraded defense effect. What is that? Yeah, looks like you just gain increased damage for each stack. So maybe. Would be good for just about everyone. Destroyer. Every melee attack this character makes reduces the target armor by 3% until the end of combat. Actions applied before damage is calculated. Yeah, if we get this Kibellah, we wouldn't have to give her that sword that bypasses armor. It'd take a while, but just give her a regular weapon then. The target pushed by the character collides with enemies or cover, both target and the object. That would suffers an additional +6 damage. Is it pushed by enemies or pushed by the push ability? Because the shotgun does push. Eager for battle. During the first turn of combat. 2 additional action points. Is that useful for Solomon? There would be more uses of Glato. Your subordinates. Now let's take actions on extra turns given by the character. No, you cannot do that. The damage the character deals increased by +1 for every stack they have, for every attack they have made this combat. Does not affect damage over time effects. No, you don't really have extra attacks. If an extra turn is given by the character's abilities or talents, I wonder if the extra turn would apply though when we order Glato around. If it does, then we could actually get those extra turn abilities. We'll look at those later then. Flag Bearer. Allies within 2 cells around the character deal 9% more damage and suffer less damage. If multiple characters have this talent, the effect does not stack. Oh. But it could probably work with Glato though if we have him standing nearby. Flesh wounds. At the start of the character's turn, they restore 10% of the maximum wounds. Yeah, that one feels like could be good to get for everyone. Always having some sort of healing. Then again, later our enemies will probably be able to easily do at least that level of damage regardless. Targets that consume the character priority deal 40% less damage in the to the character's allies. Yeah, it would be good if we were going up enemies that use a lot of AoEs. But this would be more for Abelard. Enemies that have 0 deflection or 0 armor against the character's attacks suffer 10% additional damage from the character if an enemy has both 0 deflection and 0% armor. Damage bonuses stack. With that weapon Kibellah has, that would actually probably work with that one. And I think Argenta has an ability that can reduce some of those. Plus one deflection if a shield is in their current weapon set. Maybe. It's only +1. Oh, low. Plus 30% bonus to armor. And armor penetration. Dodge reduction, critical chance, critical damage, and parry chance. Okay, that's a whole lot of bonuses in general. Something that'd be good for everyone. Enemies hit by the character with a melee attack must pass a willpower resistance test or make the character their priority target until the start of the character's next turn. Malign influence. Whenever the enemy fails a willpower resistance against the character, they suffer 6 direct damage. Yeah, I think this would be more of a Cassia ability. Martyrdom. When the character is attacked by an enemy, they gain momentum equal to the difficulty tier of the attack increase. Yeah, more like Abelard. Though... yeah, I suppose Solomon could benefit from it as well. Masterful display. When the character has single shots, deals damage to a target other than their main target, they gain +5 ballistic skills until the end of combat. I wonder if that applies for shotguns. Deadeye shot deals an additional 8% damage The following range attacks abilities gain Deadeye shot benefits. Yeah, for arrowlets, though we rarely use Deadeye shot. I don't know, when the character pushes an enemy, the character gains +4 movements. Those moves are added after the attack and allows the character to continue moving. Damage dealt by collision from pushes is increased by 30%. Bonus to the strength equal to 20% of the maximum wounds. For Abelard. Actually, Kibellah could also benefit from that. Really, any of our melee people would. Protection on fire. +5 bonus, +5 to all characteristics. Bonus is doubled when they have 25% wounds or less. Again, something that would be good for everyone. Character ignores 3 of the enemy's deflection. Rounded down. Deflection says a flat damage reduction, right? Yeah. Let's take the weapon skill and ballistics. Puncture. Character's armor penetration is higher than the enemy's armor. Character's critical hit chance against an enemy is increased by 2% for every 5% difference. Sounds good, but feels like it'd be difficult to find the appropriate enemies. Realize where the character is healed, they regain 20% more wounds. Okay, better healing. Yeah, we have a bunch of different ways to heal. When the character loses wounds, next melee attack gains +1 damage for every 2 wounds a character has lost, and it stacks. Yeah, it could be from any means. Would be good for Kibellah since she does have the ability that does self-damage. Not through. 32% over-penetration. Over-penetration attacks cannot be dodged. Maybe shotguns do have a bit of over-penetration. Maybe. Or maybe it's just a regular AoE. Steel Shell. Character's deflection is doubled against single target attacks. Yeah, just better defense overall. Strong Hand. 5% block and deals 50% more damage with Shield Bash. More block would be good, but we don't really use a Shield Bash. Probably should start. Characters' dodge reduction and armor penetration are increased by 10% of their critical hit chance. We don't really build around crit damage or crit chance. Character gains an additional 12 wounds. Wounds are further increased by toughness. Maybe one of the last things we get, tricky defense. Character wears light armor, Solomon, so no. Bonus to all resistances equals to what? No, okay, choose their deflection. Immune to all effects that reduce movement. And then they gain +2 movement. No, good for some of our other people. Not really needed by Solomon. We don't really have him moving around too much. Battle points. Whenever the character scores a critical hit, they have a chance to increase their critical damage bonus by half. And is equal to character's critical hit chance minus 50%. Minimum of 0. Yeah, I don't really like building around crit damage. Not unless they are already naturally a natural at it. So what should we get? Integrated defense. Now let's go with Cataclysm. Start with that. As for this one, I'm going to get Law and Order. Option attacks made on others' turns. Deal 13% more damage.
Oh, what
You do not realize the dangers of living outside the Imperial law. You are playing with fire, and one day you will pay for every act of mob justice you have committed.
You see a threat in my rituals, but in truth, your greatest enemy is fear. I'm not afraid to walk along the knife edge of the law you so revere, or to act against it if it means staying true to the Undying One.
Alright, so it is unlike Kibellah.
In this
Find further
tapestry
initial
of a
pose.
world, I am the rogue
Crooked
thread.
finger and his teeth are bared in ghastly grimace. Broken, slashed, and gutted. Still covered with shreds of planetary warden. Okay, planetary warden's uniform. Otters wrote right before he died. Yeah, there was supposed to be poison gas all over the place. Harlot. Sign of the Hecataria, a witch cult from the depths of Camorra. Tread carefully. Their footsteps make no sound, and their blades strike faster than lightning. Well, that's an interesting pose. Bodies have been twisted into a pose resembling a servile bow and bound with barbed wire. That's supposed to be a face. Enthralled Gladiator. Any others? It's like fights. We have to come down through the skates. Guard Gladiator. Not seeing in Drukari. Seeing this the gladiators.
You interrupted my thoughts. I need to find the answers.
Can you go up here? No. But yeah, just separate it out from the party. Move everyone else. Symbol of Torments. This is how the Dark Ones mark the arenas that serve to nourish their withered souls.
I follow my own path.
Okay, make sure Erlit stays here. Should be a good vantage point. Oh, and the cutscene just automatically moves her. Never mind. Thassera. Tall, lithe Xenos moves with grace of an otherworldly predator. The creatures give you a dispassionate glance and casually speaks a few words that are immediately picked up by your elucidator. Candace Aleph. What is this? It's one of the sisters found an amusing trinket in the ruins and saved it as a special treat for us for the Archon. The Xenos takes a quick look over her shoulder for the platform where a few more silhouettes in tar black armor can be seen. Heinrichs. He narrows his eyes and gives the Xenos an appraising look. The Drukhari of this breed are known as witches. They are experts at bloodletting in the arenas and on the battlefield. However, I am more interested in the one skulking in the shadows. Judging by their armor, they are high-ranking representatives of the Cabal, a military clique from the Drukhari Dements. It seems we have disrupted a vile performance for their distinguished guests. By whose leave are you preying on my world? It seems it is I who's in for a treat. I cannot even begin to fathom where my subjects found such exotic beasts. I talked to not one at that. Neil Xenosaur shall have been flogged. Now who are they taking orders from? The Xenos' eyes light up with interest. The monkey understands my speech. Where'd you come by a device that can translate our language? Are you trying to impress me by appearing useful? Such words will earn you a bout in the ring at most. Without a weapon, and soon without your skin. The humans scattered around you on the platform stare as if they've seen a ghost. The eyes of some betray the fear, others glare with bestial hatred, and yet more look upon you with hope. Yeah, who are you? My name is known to everyone on this planet, Monkey. I am Thassera the Deliverer, Thassera the Benevolent, the one who grants respite from the choking grasp of this world. I decide who lives, who dies, and who finds new purpose for their existence in Comora's many arenas. Surely this is why you have come here, to fight for my ever-changing favor, and for the privilege of being the first to be chained. Erlid chuckles haughtily. Such grandiose names for a soulless wretch who tortures the breathless and torments the powerless. Your words hint at a nobility you have never possessed. Thassera, cousin, what are you doing among this rabble? What an unexpected and tantalizing surprise. Thassera licks her lips hungrily. I cannot wait to take you in my arms and clasp you tightly in them. You don't even have a portrait. You're unimportant. Erlid, do not waste your breath on your lies. Only the faint vestiges of blood connect the Siriani and the Dark Ones such as yourself. You ruptured planets, conquered the Xenos who neutralized the planetary defenses, and managed to ruin the entire world. Impressive. How much would it cost to hire you? Really interesting. I presume the toxic atmosphere is your doing. It could be, or perhaps my mere presence is enough to make base creatures like yourself forget how to breathe. Thassera lets out a nasty chuckle. Are you really surprised at what happened? You wove the net right under your own feet. We merely knocked out the pin that drew it closed, tight around you. A couple of volleys at the seals on the underground well, and the planet, the one you had turned inside out, did the rest. Yeah, not that bright to claim that it was just your presence. That'd be quite the order from you. Pascal, I hereby declare you a Category 3 blasphemy for tampering with the sacred production cycle of the world's extractiums. The drill on Pascal's mechanics spring to life with a howling screech. Thassera, and your brethren finished what the planet had started. Oh, how they strive to please me and my entourage. How they slaughtered and tortured their own kin for mine and my sister's delight. How they decorated this little arena with still living monkey. Did you think that all you saw before you is the work of our own hands? Think again. Dress the fighters in the arena, how could you stoop to this? To killing one another for amusement of the enemies of humanity? Scarred gladiator, a hulking brute who can barely stand, coughs up blood and wipes his lips. What? Am I supposed to lie down and die? The ones who survived the arena, the Xenos take them away. I saw humans boarding shuttles with my own eyes. They're going to take us away from here. Here? Pascal, the same as false. You were supposed to furnish yourself with the means of the respiratory protection and inflict maximum damage on the perpetrators before ceasing your vital functions. Solomon, the proctor's voice booms with denunciation. Now you see why arbitrators prefer to execute criminals immediately, because this is what they will do otherwise with the life they are offered. From the moment they fall into heresy, they hardly have the right to call themselves human anymore. All they can do from then on is sink deeper. Well, that's rather pessimistic of you. Guard Gladiator. Yeah, who cares about us convicts? The lanky buggers may keep me on the leash, but at least I'll be alive, not coughing up my lungs. Yeah, well, considering that you're Drukhari, it's not like you're going to be alive for long. Or with your skin. Or your internal organs on your insides. Thassera, how cruel you are to your unfortunate kin. These monkeys have worked hard to entertain their elite audience. Each of them fight with a strength born of desperation, seeking to earn their place in my box of toys. There's always room for more. My toys do break so very easily. Yeah, no need to talk further. Death to the Xenos. Thassera takes a step back, just as the other fighters charge with furious howls.
What an amusing attempt at defiance!
Show them no mercy!
And with that, considering the time, let's go ahead and end it here. A bit of a cliffhanger, sorta. Anyways, so yeah, we will continue this next week on Sunday. A lot of good progress today. Yeah, finish up some missions. Yeah, finish up all the side missions, and actually got started on the main quest some more, and saw a bit more of the whole judicial system of Warhammer 40k. Anyways, as I said, we'll be continuing this next week on Sunday. As for tomorrow, will be the continuation of Abiotic Factor. And then Friday, we'll be back to more Hollow Knight Silk Song. So, nothing else. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the channel depending on where you prefer watching, whether it be on Twitch or on YouTube, for notifications when we're online. Otherwise, there's always my social media for updates and notifications. Twitter is at Emery_EE, IMRE_EE, and Blue Sky at Emery-EE. More or less the same thing, just a difference between dash or underscore depending on where you prefer to go. Otherwise, if you don't use social media, I do try to stream every day at about the same time between 12:30 a.m. to 5 a.m. US Central. Usually give it like 30 minutes, and regardless of those odd start and end times, towards the middle is a bit more reliable when I'm here. As I said, I do try to stream every day. So, nothing else. Once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you to those who happen to stop by the stream live, as well as a thank you to those who may end up watching the VOD. Hope you're all reasonably entertained and that you have a good day or night, whichever may happen to be, and that you stop by again next time. With that, thank you and goodbye.